Good evening, my YouTube viewers. This is Crystal here. What I'm doing in this video is I'm covering lesson 3 of my course in Excel, which is Beginner's Excel course. This is a free course, and we've already gone through lesson 1 and lesson 2, and now we're actually going through lesson 3. And lesson 3 is basic formatting. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to go into Excel. So I've got Excel up already because in lesson 1, we actually went into Excel and created a workbook. In lesson 2, we created a worksheet in the workbook that we had created. So rather than go in all over again, I'm just going to go to the window in the bottom and click onto Excel to get into Excel. And so we've got a tab for lesson 2, which we have already done. And now we've got a tab for lesson 3. And so in order to prepare for this lesson, I put a little bit of information in the worksheet already so I don't have to do it while I'm presenting the lesson. So this lesson is on basic formatting, and it's designed to make data readable and professional. So basically what I've done is we've got Apex Company, that's the name of the company, and we've got the payroll data of the people in the company. So the first thing that we're going to do is for the names, we need to increase the width of column A to make sure that the column is big enough for the names. And so if you remember, the way you increase the width is you take your finger pad on your right hand and you move the finger pad to the right hand side of column A, and then with your left finger you press on the finger pad, and you move it. So what I want is I want column 2 to be big enough for all the names in this company. So we're also going to increase the width of column B. So we're going to do the same thing in column B that we did in column A. So you use your finger pad and you place the cross on the right side of column B, and then with your left finger you touch the finger pad, and with your right finger you move it, and then you move it as long as you need to move it. So column P is going to be big enough. So this date started is going to be the date that these employees started working for the company. And I'm just giving some random dates for when they worked in 2020. So what we want to do is we want to increase column C in exactly the same way that we did in column A and column B. So you take your finger pad, you put the cross on the right hand side of column C, and then with your left hand you touch the finger pad, and with your right hand you move it. And then basically we've got a little bit of a problem here because they were supposed to start work in 2020. That's what I said. They were going to start work in 2020. But I'm going to show you how to format the text as we go along with this lesson. So now what we want to do is we've entered their current salary, and so their current salary, and again we want to increase the increase column D And so you take your cross and you put it on the right side of column D. Take your left finger, you press the finger pad, and you move it. And that's their current salary. And then so you've got a salary increase, a percentage increase, and that is the percentage increase that you want to give them, because basically the way a lot of companies do it is one time a year everybody gets their salary reviewed. And so basically you can have and I'm just saying the really high performers are going to get a 5% increase. The middle performers are going to get a 3% increase. And the low performers are going to get a 2% increase. And that what we'll say is like the really low performers, the poor performers are going to get a 0% increase. So that's going to be your percentage increase. And now your projected salary, that's going to be your current salary plus your current salary times the percentage increase. But basically, we want to make column F bigger as well. So again, we're going to do this the same way we've done all the others. You take the cross, you put it on the right side of column F. With your left finger, you touch the finger pad, and with the right finger, you move it until you get it where you want it. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to differentiate the column headings from the rest of the data. So we're going to embolden that. So what you do is you highlight row 5, highlight row 5, and then you come over here in the home tab and you click onto B. And so what that does is that's telling you that you have emboldened it. What we want here is we want to move Apex data, Apex company, and payroll data to the center of the sheet. So what we're going to do is you're going to highlight A1, A2, and A3. And you do that by clicking onto A1 and hitting the shift key, touching the shift key, and then you use the arrow keys, the down arrow key, 2 times, and that's going to highlight that piece of data. And then what you do is you type Control X, so that's going to delete it, and you come over here to C1, and then you type Control B, so it's going to move that data over to C1, 2, and 3. So that data is going to be closer to the center of the spreadsheet, which is what we want to see. And so with Apex data, Apex company, excuse me, I'm getting over a cold. With Apex company, what we want to do is we want this to stand out. So what we're going to do is we're going to change the font size. Currently, it has a font size of 11. But let's see what happens when we change the font size to 20. So that's bigger. And then what we want to do is we want to embolden it. And then maybe give it a different type of font. So, I don't know. Right now we're on Aptos Narrow. Let's try Aptos Display. So, and then what you might want to do is you might want to change the color of the text. So you come over here to where it says the A. So you're going to change the color of the text. So let's change it to a purple. So now our color is purple. And then so with the payroll data, I suppose that can be a little bit bigger. So you highlight the payroll data, It currently has a font of 11. So we're going to go over here to the fonts, and we're going to make it a font number 16. So it's not quite as big as the Apex company, but we don't want it that big. Let's make it 14. So that way it's bigger than the standard data, but not quite as big, because this is your payroll data, and this is what you're going to be presenting to payroll. Okay, so again, you might want this data emboldened. So you click on to that cell at C3, and you can click on to B, and that means it's going to be emboldened. And another thing that you can do is, if you want to make Apex Company italicized, you can make Apex Company italicized as well. So you click onto Apex Company, and then you click onto the I, and what that does is that makes Apex Company italicized. So another thing that you can do, and now what we're going to do is we're going to highlight the column headers of name, job title, current salary, salary increase, and maybe you want to underline that. So you're going to click onto the U underline, and that is going to underline your data. And then another thing that you could do, which isn't really in basic formatting, it's not really in basic formatting, but you can say, you can come over here into conditional formatting. You can say highlight cell rules, and I haven't done this very often. I've not done it very often, but greater than for and we're going to say it's going to be green. So that means that if they've got like a greater than of 4, it's going to be green. So that's how you can do conditional formatting, but it's really not something that you would learn in basic formatting. It's not something that you would learn in basic formatting. Okay, here's a color scale, so we can try that. Let's try that color scale. And this definitely isn't in basic formatting. It's just something extra, because in one of the jobs that I do for my day job, I had to use conditional formatting, but then, so I was using conditional formatting, but then what happened was they wanted me to change the way this report was done. And since they wanted me to change the way the report was done, the only way that I could do it the way that they wanted me to do it was to write a program in VBA, that's Visual Basic for applications, because there was no way I could do what I needed to do in the time allotted manually. And so I wrote a computer program to do what they wanted me to do. And so I don't use conditional formatting anymore, but it's not within the scope of this course. It's not within the scope of this course at all. But I just wanted to show you a little bit that you can do. And so you've got your conditional formatting and color scales. and that set up the colors. So that's just something neat that you can do with Excel. So we've got the name. So we've got your name, your job title, your date started the company, your current salary, increase, percentage increase, and projected salary. So we've got some names here. And then we've got their job title. So Mickey Mouse is the CEO, and Minnie Mouse is the CFO, and Cookie Monster is the catering manager, and Big Bird is the communications officer, and Doctor Who is the company doctor, Batman is the security manager, Robin is the security officer, and Joker as a life coach. And so now we've got the date we started, and then they all started in 2020. But you can change the date format to any date that you want. And so what you have to do is you have to section off the dates that you want, and you do that by selecting the first cell and using shift and the down arrow until you get to the last cell. And then you, with your finger pad, you double click. And when you double click, you get a menu and you click on Format Cells. And then under Format Cells, it's number. And so basically, this is going to be a currency. We'll see, because that's what we're talking about, isn't it? We're talking about, no, that's the date they started, sorry. The custom date. So these are the dates that you can use. You get a selection of dates that you can use. So we're going to say, use this format. And then so that's 14 March 2012. It's that format. And you click on to OK. And then so since we're using that format, you can see that the column isn't big enough for the dates. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to increase the width of column C. So again, you're actually going to increase the width by column C by taking your finger pad and putting the cross sign on the edge of column C, and then with your left finger, touch the left finger on the finger pad, and then move it to the right. And so now you can see we have formatted the date, and I've showed you how to format the dates as well. And then so you've got your cell color and your border. So we've used conditional formatting to actually, talk about the percentage increase. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to talk about their current salary. So we want to set up the salary. So again, what you do is you click onto the top cell where you want to format the salary, and then you take your shift key and your down arrow and you move that down. And then in the center of this area that you want to format, you double click on your finger pad, and then you come over here to the option that says Format Cell. So you click onto Format Cell. So now what we're going to do is you can either do a currency or you can do accounting. So what we're going to do is we're going to set it up for accounting. And the reason why we're going to set it up for accounting is because this data has to go to the payroll office. And so you can set it up for with a pound sign or without a pound sign. So I'm going to say no pound sign. And then we're going to make it go to 0 decimal places. So we're going to set it up for 0 decimal places. And then so you can see what it's going to look like. and then we're going to click on to OK. So what we can do here is where it says current salary, you can do space, and then you can do shift 3, which is going to give you the pound sign. So that's going to give you your current salary in pounds. And so what we've done is we have edited the current salary to add a pound sign to it, so you know that its current salary is in pounds, and we formatted the salaries as well. So now we're going to have a percentage increase, and so that's going to be percentage increase of their salary. And so what you can do again, if you because it says percentage increase is 5% increase. So you can say a 5% increase. You can do that way, or you could put the percentage in there. So I think that we will just click on to the top one, and with your shift key and your arrow key, click down, and then you double click on that, and you come over here to format cells, and it says percentage, and it says they're not going to get anything, so that's saying 500%. Well, we know that's not right. So what we're going to do is we're just going to leave it here. Just leave the percentage increase as it is, so you can see the percentages increase. But now what we want to do is, it says projected salary, and we can change this to say salary, and we're editing now. So you actually click onto the cell, and you come over here to the function window, and you can say salary after increase, and I might make that a capital letter as well. Salary after increase. So what we want to do is we want to we don't have to. Now, what you could do in order to make sure everything's correct, you can highlight row 5 and then click onto, with your finger pad, double click onto row 5, and then you click on the format cells, and then you go to alignment, and on text control you can say wrap text, and then you click OK. And then so what that does is that wraps the text. So rather than you have a really big long column F, you have a smaller column F. So this is going to be percentage after increase. So we're going to put a formula in here. So equals 100,000. Now what we'll do is we'll say equals brackets 100,000 times I'm just trying to think about what I want to do, equals 100,000 equals 100,000, and I'm just trying to think about what I want to do. Times 5 . I hope I'm doing this right. Divided by 100, because it's going to be percentage. Gonna put plus, no, plus D6. I'm going to try it and hope for the best. Okay, so that says, just looking for that. I'm getting my manual calculator to make sure I've done it right. So 100 times 0.05 equals 5,000. So I got it right. And I'm just doing this ad lib, you know. So that is going to be, so it's going to be 105,000. His new salary after his increase is going to be 105,000. And so basically what's going to happen is he's going to be getting a 5% increase, and 100,000 times 0.05 is 105,000. And then so you're going to have E6 is the percentage increase. That's 5 divided by 100. And then so 100,000 times 0.05 is 5,000, and then plus 5,000. So that's how we did it, and I'm glad I got it right. I wasn't sure, you know, I was just guessing, but I'm glad I got it right. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to copy and paste this formula down to F13. So you highlight the F6 and you type Control C. And so what that is going to do is that's going to copy 105,000 or the formula. It's going to copy the formula. And then you go down to the next cell and you type Shift and the down arrow and you highlight that and you type Control V. And that's going to paste it. So basically the two bottom people didn't get any pay increase at all, because unfortunately that's the way it is. I worked for this company a long time ago, and it was called Barclays Mercantile, and what they did was they had a policy that so many people a year didn't get a pay raise, and so basically their favorites got the best pay raise, and the people they didn't like that much got a lesser pay raise, and the people that they weren't happy with didn't get any pay raise at all. So I'm just going to check my work one more time. I'm going to check 75,000, 75 times 0.03 equals 2250. Let me try this again. 75 times 0.03 equals 75,000 times 0.03 equals 2250, and it's plus 75 to the 0, and so that should be 77,250. So that wasn't correct. That was D7 was 75,000 times E7. Oh yeah, that was right. Sorry. 75,000 times 0.05 equals 3750. And then so that was right. I said 3% instead of 5% because I just wanted to double check the formulas, because when you're working with formulas, it's always important to double check your work. And even though I've written programs in VBA in Excel. In fact, today I was working on something that I did in VBA in Excel. I always have to check my work, and I do a spot check because I have about 150 names I have to check, and this is a training spreadsheet. It's not a salary spreadsheet, but I do a spot check with each team, and then if each team is correct, then I take it that it's correct. So whenever you're entering formulas, you always have to check your work to make sure that your work is correct. So we've got their salary after increase. And so you see the CEO and the CFO get the highest salaries. And so let's see what else we've got here. We've got cell color, borders. We've got the cell color and the borders, and we've got the number formats, currency, percentage, date, and then we've got the column width. You can adjust the row width if you like. So we're going to come over here to number 4, and we want the row width of 4 to be adjusted. So what you do is you take your finger pad and you take the X at column 4, and with your left finger you press the finger pad and then you move it down. So that's one thing that you can do. And if you don't want to do that, we'll just do undo. One thing that you can do is, I'm going to do it down here. We're going to come over here in 15 and 16. And then so you can say format. And then you can say row height. So right now your row height is 14.5, and we'll just say 20. And then so what that will do is that will make your rows bigger. But I'm just going to delete them. Well, what I'll do is I'll just do undo. And you can also change the width of your columns as well. I'm not going to do it on this one, but we'll just take column J. And so you can come over here to format, and then you can say column width. So the column width is currently 8.09. So we'll change the column width to 15. And so you can see that you've changed their column width. So I showed you 2 ways that you can change your row height and your column width. And basically, I've showed you the way that you can use it with a finger pad or a mouse. And I've showed you the way that you can format it in the Home tab. So, so basically what you can do also, I think it's going to be a little bit difficult to do it, but if you wanted to, you could, like change the color of the cells, but I don't want to change the color of the cells in this spreadsheet, but I'm going to show you how you can do it. So we're going to select 9 cells. And the way you select 9 cells is you select cell H6, and then you type shift, and then using your right arrow key, you use the right arrow key twice and the down arrow key twice. And that way, what will happen is you've got 9 cells. I'm just going to show you how to change the color. So I like blue. So you've changed the color of these 9 cells to blue. And that's how you can do it. But the thing is I don't want to change the color of this current table because we've got a color-coded percent increase. And then if we have a color-coded percent increase, it might affect it. But let's see what we're going to do here. Another thing we can just try the whole sheet. and go back to the blue. And then so what that will do it. But see, that is it's too dark really to understand, to be able to see what you're doing. So we're just going to check undo. So I just wanted to show you a few things that you can do to format your text. And I think that we've covered everything that we need to cover in this lesson. And so what you can do on your own is you can try to recreate this Apex company payroll data and see if you can recreate it, see how you get on doing that. That would be a good exercise for you to do to recreate the payroll data for Apex company. So that concludes this lesson and this video. The next lesson is going to be on simple formulas, and we've already covered simple formulas in the past. We've covered some formulas in the past, but now it's going to be a lesson actually on formulas. So thank you for watching this video. I hope that you decide to watch the next video that has the next lesson and of course basic Excel. Thank you.